Welcome to Bunch Formation, forever your newest college football podcast. I'm Chris Vannini. Week 2. I'm Chris Vannini. I'm going to Norman, Oklahoma this weekend. I'm making sure I'm not taking an EV this time.
I am David Ubben, and I am not going to 6 games this weekend. Honestly, hopefully never again, but I will be checking in on Bill Belichick again this weekend. Chris, we got a lot to get to today.
We got a lot. Week 2 is, people think week 2 is like not a good schedule. I completely disagree. Like,
it's just because there's not the 2 top 10 like Mondo games, but there's a bunch of really intriguing games this week, which we're going to talk about.
We're gonna preview a bunch of games, run down a bunch more. We got a few things to talk about before then too, and we'll start that with Dave. So you went your story's up on your road trip. Seemed like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was work, but it seemed like a lot of fun. I thought you wrote it in a way that was very much like celebratory of college football and why we love it so much. And we got an email from listener Tyler, who said, Ubben, in your story documenting your travels this weekend, please also keep track of the various batshit foods you decide to eat. If they don't make your story, at least tell us on the spot. I'm really enjoying the show. Enjoy the season, fellas. First question. You didn't include any food in there, but did anything stand out on your trip?
No, I mean, I didn't have time to like enjoy any of these places or like eat a lot of food. It was a lot of press box food, honestly. I did Uber Eats some very mid Chinese food in Raleigh Thursday night. When I was done, I was very hungry. But on the road on Interstate 85. So I just moved to North Carolina, obviously. I have become enamored with the Biscuitville muffins. I've been hitting these up, man. They're delicious. So shout out to Biscuitville, not a sponsor, but hey, give us a call. I'm a big fan. They just got the new strawberry muffins in. They're delicious. The blueberry.
We don't need to do a full rundown of their newest items. I think we should have them contact us.
There were no real food shenanigans because I didn't eat like I think I had like one sit down dinner. It was coming back like from Atlanta Sunday night, which I probably shouldn't have. It took longer than I thought, and it got me home late. But no, unfortunately, no food shenanigans this time. I do usually, if I'm going to a game like Friday night, I usually try to go out and kind of get somewhere and feel the scene. But alas.
Also, you were not on the live show Monday night because you were at the North Carolina game. You are going to be there this week. We'll talk more about that later. But any brief thoughts on the Belichick blowout experience in person?
The energy sucked out of the building pretty quick. I mean, it was okay in the first half, and then it was kind of it turned into kind of a funeral after TCU scores on the first play of the third quarter. But people have kind of asked about this. I still think, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about Bill Belichick later, but ultimately, I didn't take that much away from him personally in the first game. His team's not good. They don't have good players. They just don't. I don't know what to tell people. Like, they lost all their best players to really good teams. I think what will be interesting with Belichick is what does his team look like in November? Because if they're fighting and looking spicy, even though they don't really have good players, comparatively, that will tell me a lot about Belichick. And I will say they did look a lot better when they went to Max Johnson. I was surprised that they went with Gio. Gio, if you're not going to use him as a runner, what's the point? Why did you bring him there and pay him? Like, what are we doing?
Why is he under center?
The usage was so weird. And so for what they wanted to do, Max Johnson makes way more sense. Max Johnson, he's going to be a statue, obviously, but he's more experienced. The processing is probably a little bit better. He's definitely more accurate, and he's more traditional to what they have. So I don't understand that when you went and got Gio, to me, that said, I don't love my offensive line. We got to get a playmaker at quarterback. And then they just never used his legs at all. I was very confused at that.
What was the scene like? I've never been to North Carolina's campus. I hear it's beautiful.
Unbelievable campus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the ACC's got great campuses. I went to UVA a few years ago. That campus is gorgeous. UNC, you couldn't draw up a better campus, and the energy was fantastic. Frat row, basically all of their lawns were full of people. Because in part, it was a beautiful day. It's 80 degrees. It wasn't that hot. There wasn't any other college football on, so people were just kind of hanging out. It was a beautiful day, obviously. Nobody's got classes. And the campus is just gorgeous. I'd been there once like 9 years ago, but not really like kind of walking around campus. And man, North Carolina, they got it going on. If you were building a college campus from scratch, it basically look a lot like North Carolina. It's like a good mix of like nice buildings, but like history and like sort of open fields with crossing sidewalks that's shaded with big trees and older buildings, nicer buildings. It just is what you want in a college campus. Like Duke is a little gothic for my taste. It feels like you're in like Transylvania or something, where it's like, all right, let's take it down a notch, guys. But like North Carolina is very much like American college town USA. So shout out to the Tar Heels. They didn't have a great night, but they got to wake up on their campus, so that's not bad.
Yeah, and this week 2 episode coming to you a little bit later in the week. You've probably seen in your feeds, we had the interview with Connor Stalions go up earlier on Thursday. A lot of reaction to that. Some positive and negative. Some people didn't like that we had him on the show at all. Some people just simply didn't believe what he said, which is fine. But other people, you got a text, David. People who thought it was worthwhile and interesting, and Connor has been on several shows this week. As far as I can tell, we are the only ones who actually asked him these questions about actually what happened about Central Michigan and Tennessee and all that stuff. So, like it was an opportunity to ask questions that I wanted answered.
Yeah.
And so if you don't like it, if you don't care about Connor Stalions, don't listen to the episode. It's fine. It was an extra episode. It's not taking away from the week 2 picks and everything we're doing on that.
What is the case to not have him on the show? We've been wanting to have him for like 2 years. We had him in the spring, I think, and then things happened. But
for us, yeah. I mean, some people are just sick of seeing him, and that's fine. People are perfectly fair to be. But if we were going to have him, we were going to ask him about the glasses and the Tennessee. Like those are.
There were so many unanswered questions that we tried to get answers to, and some of them he answered, some of them he didn't. But
yeah,
it was good having him. And if you, like I said, if you don't believe him, that's fine. But
that's fair. And I tried to make sure, like, yes, he did violate the bylaw of in-person scouting.
Yeah.
The penalty is because he didn't cooperate. Like he brought that on himself. Absolutely. And we'll see with that. So if you haven't checked out the show notes, we'll have timestamps in there if you want to jump ahead to various games. Send emails like the one we mentioned earlier to bunchformationpod@gmail.com, and we're Bunch Formation on everything on social media. And like we do on every episode, we will read 5-star reviews on Apple or Spotify comments because they don't have reviews on there. And we have a couple of new ones from AK 2015. Who says, been in need of a good college football podcast for this season. So excited for this. Vannini Vintage is a great one on the mic and dapper with the, I'm familiar with him and his work at the Atlantic. I think you mean the Athletic. So let's get it. Hopefully these guys put out banger after banger after banger. End quote. Ubben, those are pro wrestling references. This is somebody who came over from my pro wrestling podcast, Getting Over. So that's what those terms mean. So thank you.
That's good. My favorite Atlantic Athletic confusion is when the Atlantic hired Jamil Hill, who the internet loves, obviously. People were furious at the Athletic for a long time about that.
Yes, we did not hire Jamel Hill. A couple of comments on Spotify from Lori. You guys had me tearing up toward the end of the episode talking about how special college football is. You're right. It is so special. I came into it in my mid-20s and can't imagine life without it. Over the last decade, podcasts like yours have depended my love for it, which I didn't know was possible. Thank you. And from VilX4, enjoy the concept, thought-provoking talk without contention between the hosts. Looking forward to the episodes during the season. Thank you for those comments and reviews, and we'll read them all on the show.
There will be some contention between the hosts if you have to.
We need some contention. Food, we definitely need some more contention.
My biggest contention is, Chris, you're a food pill guy, right? Basically.
Not exactly, but I'm closer to that than I am to you.
Anytime Chris and I are on the road somewhere and I'm willing to go jump through some hoops or go further or make some special arrangements to get a good food that I want, Chris is like, what are you doing? There's frozen pizza right here.
Not frozen pizza. We were in New York and you went like several neighborhoods over to get Koreatown to get something.
Pie.
And I'm like, there's food right here. It's fine. I don't make it. I don't make an effort for it.
I do.
We'll get into that. All right. Before we get to the games, we do have a little bit of news. And for that, we always start off with the media scrum.
That's why I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage.
Speaking of Mike Gundy, by the way, did you see his commercial he did? He kind of reenacted the "I'm a Man, I'm 40" commercial.
I did see that.
I already forgot for who it was, so it must not have been that memorable.
It was a small Oklahoma company. I don't remember who. I thought it was like insurance or something.
Okay, and he also like lifted his shirt up and showed his chest while talking about like Nebraska players back in the day or something very unusual. We'll get to some Gundy comments more actually later in the show, but this segment here is about an update on the EA Sports college basketball game, which they kind of announced back in June. Well, it turns out that game is not happening anymore. EA Sports sent a memo to schools. I obtained the memo. It was first reported by our friend Matt Brown at Extra Points. EA Sports has rescinded the offer to create a college basketball game because a number of individual schools are taking an offer with 2K Sports to be involved in NBA 2K somehow. So some background on this. Back last fall, because College Football 25 had blown up, schools were interested in bringing back college basketball as well. And so the CLC, the Collegiate Licensing Company, which runs the licenses for almost all the schools, put out a request for proposal to game developers. EA Sports was the only one who came back with an offer that included all 730 schools, every player. They'd run it like college football. The idea was it would include everyone, but it was exclusive rights is what they wanted. And there was a pretty quick deadline of July to kind of make a decision on that. And then 2K made some offers. 2K, it doesn't appear, wants to make an individual standalone game, but it wants to get some colleges into NBA 2K. And it looks like, based on this memo, EA Sports, because it's not going to have exclusive basketball in some form, it is pulling back, and we will not have a EA Sports college basketball game after all, which I find to be incredibly disappointing. Ubben, what's your reaction to this news?
I hate everyone involved in this, basically. On the one hand, EA Sports' demand for exclusivity, I hate that. This is why people don't like Madden, okay? Because they had competition for a long time. There was NFL Game Day back in the day with the 989 Sports.
Yeah.
Shout out to Terrell Davis. There was, obviously the NFL 2K series, which, NFL 2K5 is still widely considered like the best football game ever. I didn't really ever play it. My freshman college year roommate did. He was big into it, but I never really played it. But the presentation was very good, and
it was like $20, right? It was like way cheaper.
Also that
than Madden.
So, like, competition is good. They're asking for a monopoly. They can call it exclusivity. You're asking for a monopoly. This is why there is a lot of criticism of Madden. I think Madden got worse. And on the other side, 2K, if you're not going to make a standalone game, if you're going to basically do what EA did to one of the Madden games, they had like 6 colleges in it. It was like, I don't take umbrage with that. There were no players in it, but they got the trademarks for like, your individual go play college, whatever. That's not a college video game. I don't want that. I'm not going to get 2K to play that. That makes no sense to me. I don't care about that. But there is a market out there for the college video game, and maybe that's, or college basketball video game. Maybe that's not, every year, but I 2K, the college basketball game was great back in the day, and it obviously died for a lot of the same reasons the football game did. So I hate the exclusivity on EA's end. I hate the unwillingness to serve an underserved market on 2K's part, and it sucks for everybody. I think everybody's losing here.
I will say, both NCAA basketball and 2K basketball went away in 08, 09 because the sales were not good. Like college football, NCAA football would like quadruple the sales of basketball. And they got rid of the game because it just wasn't selling well. And then the Edo ban and stuff. And so you never bring it back. And EA Sports, it was always like when they announced it, I was like, are we sure? And I got my hands on the proposal. I looked at it, and it wasn't guaranteed, which I thought was smart. It did not guarantee a new game every year. It was, I think, a minimum of 3 games over 6 years. And so in a year that it did not have a new game, it would just update the roster for you, which makes sense because like we just said, if it's not selling at that level, You don't want to
Mhm.
invest as much to make a new game every year. I think people wouldn't even mind that with college football if you just
I'd be okay
updated
with
some
it.
key things as opposed to tweaking things every year. But yeah, so this sucks. I don't like it. I don't like that EA is backing out because it needs exclusivity. I don't have great high hopes for what 2K is going to do either. And this is just kind of the gaming market right now where everybody kind of wants to have monopolies on things, and it's not a good situation. So if anything,
It's a lot of, it's a lot of what we're experiencing in college sports itself, Chris. We've talked about this. People have to make money, and the people who actually care about the product, the actual hardcore customers, are getting screwed and getting less and not getting what they would love. And it's the people that are going to be in the can for college basketball, they're going to love it either way. College football fans are going to love college football either way. The people that are making decisions and changing the sport know those people are not going away. And so they're saying, we don't care about serving you. We're just going to do whatever we want to go chase after the casual fan. And, I've played some 2K online in my day. Some of the worst people on the planet you'll ever meet will be on the other end of the mic on 2K online.
And by the way, this goes the other way too. We don't have an EA Sports NBA game. We don't have a 2K NHL. We don't have NHL Hits or Blitz like back in the day. Like it was bad. We really grew up, you and I, in the best possible period for sports videos games. That period from like 2000 to 2010, when you had like double of so many of the pro sports, you had both college sports. It was we got spoiled. They made an arena football league game. They made a college. There's a
cricket video game out there.
They made a college baseball game. MVP
I had
baseball.
that game. It's a great game. MVP baseball or college baseball 2007, I think. Great
MVP
game.
baseball 05, still the greatest still the greatest MLB baseball game of all time. I still have it for my PS2, which I still have. And we're not going back to that era, and it sucks. Like it really does, because that was an era when everybody was experimenting, and that's the value of competition, man. And it's a different time, so that is unfortunate.
Arena football game. I can't believe that exists. I never played it. I saw videos, and I just, that's wild. Anyway.
All right, and with that, we are going to get to our week 2 preview.
You are looking live.
We're going to start off with the big one. Michigan at Oklahoma. I will be there. Connor Stalions will apparently be there. Oklahoma is a 5.5 point favorite. This game is 7:30 Eastern on ABC. Last week, John Mateer, his first game for Oklahoma, he threw for almost 400 yards. They whipped up Illinois State, an FCS team. However, Oklahoma only averaged 3.2 yards per carry. Michigan played with its food a little bit against New Mexico. New Mexico had a trick play. There was a targeting penalty. One of Michigan's best defenders will miss the first half. David, early thoughts. What are you looking for in this game?
I don't know anything about either of these teams, and that's kind of what I'm curious about, is we kind of know what we think these teams are, and I think it's pretty simple for me. Is Michigan more balanced? Does Bryce Underwood, a young Bryce Underwood that doesn't have a lot of experience, does he really give them that? You kind of saw some flashes in the New Mexico game, but this is a New Mexico team that you've read about this offseason. They're hitting reset. They've lost kind of everything. Jason X trying out there, but it's hard. I don't really care what you did there. You can see it with Bryce Underwood, but when you're on the road in a tough place where you're going to have a jacked up crowd, can you really give them balance? Because when they got smacked by Texas last year, why did they get smacked, Chris? No balance. It was one dimensional. Texas just crunched down on them, and there was nothing they could do. And eventually, Quinn Ewers hit some balls and popped, and that is what it is. On the other side, the Mateer, Jaden Ott, which kind of some weird Jaden Ott stuff coming out of last week, which that was kind of. It was good. There was always some weird stuff going on with him at Cal too, but can they get the job done against I'm not going to call Michigan an elite defense yet, but probably a really good defense in a big spot and kind of make last year feel like it's a distant memory. I think those are the two things. Like this is basically week 1 for them because we just haven't seen them be tested in any real way. And, I think for me, it just is, does Michigan have balance? And is this kind of weird fantasy team, mishmash for Oklahoma in the offensive backfield? Is that going to work?
Yeah, and with Oklahoma offensively, you mentioned the Jaden Ott thing. He played 4 snaps last
Yeah.
week. He rushed one time for -3 yards, targeted once in the passing game. And Brent Venables, the coach, said that he was banged up in camp. He was also injured a lot last year. He also said he looks to be close to 100%. I will see. Are you just holding him out for precaution, save him for Michigan, or is this something that's going to nag him all season? Because that's a big deal. Ott is
I
a
don't
really,
remember them
really good running
saying
back.
anything about this, like coming into the first game of the week, that Ott was like banged up at camp. Did I just miss this?
He apparently, I didn't pay attention because it was an FCS game. He apparently was third string on the depth chart coming in. So we'll see.
There's always some weird stuff going on with Jaden Ott. It's been like a cow. It felt like every other week it was like, well, this week he's going to run for 170 yards. And then the next week it's like, well, we're not sure what's going on with him, but he got 4 carries for 12 yards. It's like, what?
Yeah. Oklahoma, the offensive line, Michael Fauci, the really good freshman tackle. It looks like he's going to be available and probably start. He wasn't there last week. They really like him. Obviously, as a freshman who might play. I got concerns what happens when you go up against that Michigan defensive line, though. You're not going against high school kids anymore. So that is going to be really interesting. A big part of me thinks this is going to be a close, low-scoring game because I like both of
where
these
I'm leaning.
defenses. Brent Venables is going to have so much in store to mess with a true freshman quarterback who's really in his first game for the first time. And what did we see last week? We saw a new starter in Arch Manning struggle. We saw a freshman starter, CJ Carr, struggle. We saw Julian Sayin struggle. I think Underwood has the talent, and I think he's going to be a really good player, but this is a really tough spot early on. The over-under here is 45.5. Pretty low.
I like the under there, though.
So, all right, let's make a pick. Oklahoma -5.5. I'm going to go Oklahoma wins, Michigan covers. Okay.
I'm going to go Michigan covers. I thought you were going to go Oklahoma covers. I'm going to go Michigan covers. I do think, I guess I'll go Michigan outright. I'm not buying the Oklahoma stuff at all. I haven't been in on them at all off season. I just don't see it. I had so many questions about everything else that, like, adding John Mateer, who again, I'm still not even all in on him. And then the Jaden Ott stuff is weird. I have a lot of questions about John Mateer as a passer. Very fun. I don't know that he's a guy that can carry you to 9-10 wins if you need him to, and I think they might need him to. So give me Michigan to cover and win outright in Norman.
One thing, so like this is obviously a non-conference game, but there's a lot. Like I find myself going up to Oklahoma now a lot more than I have in the past, and I think back to I talked to Bob Stoops one time right after Oklahoma announced it was going to the SEC, and he was all in on it. Because he said they need better home games. And they weren't getting it in the Big 12 because the Texas game is in Dallas every year. And so now you had Alabama there last year. You had Tennessee there last year. Auburn's coming up in a few weeks. Jackson Arnold's return. This is a non-conference
good home games.
Like Oklahoma's got a good home schedule now. I've only been up there once for the SMU game a couple years ago. I was going to go to the Alabama, but last second I couldn't. So I'm looking forward to the scene in Norman. Like,
so I covered Oklahoma, so I covered them for a season, and then obviously covered them in the Big 12 for ESPN for lives there quite a bit. Here's the deal with Oklahoma is it's not as bad as like the Texas atmosphere, which is very overrated. Oklahoma has this thing where if it's big games, it's pretty elite there, but they're not very consistent. Like it's not that way every single game. For the big games, they do get up. But for, if Texas Tech was coming to town or, the non-conference game, it wasn't quite as imposing. The student section wasn't quite as loud. But for this one, it should be pretty amped up. And Norman's cool. I mean, I haven't been to a game there. It's been a little bit, probably 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. It's been a little bit. But it is still an imposing stadium. They've added a bunch there, so it'll be. I think what Michigan's going to find is a pretty elite atmosphere. I think that's going to be good. And then sort of what North Carolina found out on Monday night. Some of that changes depending on how the game plays out. But I do think this will be a close game. A bunch of big plays that are going to decide this thing, probably by the defense. And when you have a low scoring game, there's so much tension because one, the state can really shift the game, and I think that's the kind of game we're going to get. I feel way more confident about the under than I do about Michigan winning, but I'm just not in on the Oklahoma stock situation. So give me the Wolverines.
I don't know what the first half under is, but I'd probably take that too. I think we saw last week first half unders early in the season with new quarterbacks. It's usually a good way to go. Next game, Iowa at Iowa State, the battle for the Cy-Hawk Trophy, or El Asico if you're someone who's online. This is noon Eastern on Fox. Iowa State, a 3.5 point favorite. Iowa's offense last week, not anything you'd want to see if you were hoping for something different with Mark Gronowski, the San Diego, South Dakota State transfer quarterback. He went 8 for 15, 44 yards against Albany. He ran for a score, had some throws that were not great. He is coming off of offseason shoulder surgery. Iowa State, meanwhile, 2-0. They beat Kansas State and Ireland, and they destroyed FCS South Dakota, top 5 South Dakota team. I think 55-7 last week. David, what are your thoughts on this game?
I kind of think I was sandbagging a little bit. I mean, not purposely, but I do think there's an element of let's save some stuff for Cy-Hawk. I think ultimately, don't forget Brian Ferentz not there anymore, obviously, and Iowa's offense made some huge strides last year, and I think bringing in Tim Lester, I think, was a big pickup for them. They look different. The personnel is a little bit better this year, and obviously that starts at quarterback. Iowa State's so obvious here to me. Like, they've obviously looked better through 2 weeks. They have a quality win, although K-State looking shaky. But for that reason, I'm going to go the other way. I think Iowa wins this game outright, gets a little revenge for last year when they dominated that game and somehow lost. I think they made like an 85-yard field goal in that ball game. Conradi was balling. So give me the Hawkeyes to win this one. And I think the offense looks very, very different in this ball game than they did last week.
Dude, that kicker for Iowa State, he made, I think, was it a 63-yard field goal last week?
In that game, I believe, yeah.
No. Like last week.
Oh, last week. I think I missed that.
Yeah. Kyle Conradi, 63-yard field goal versus South Dakota, broke the school record. That used to be the NFL record. College kickers are way too good now, by the way. That's
some of them.
Thing.
A lot of them are still college kickers. We still get a college kicker moment every week for the most part.
So the thing about this game is it's always close.
Yes.
Always. Here are the differences for the last several games. 1 point, 7 points, 3, 10, 1, 10, 3 in overtime, a blowout in 2016. 14, 3, 6, 3, 3 in triple overtime. Like this game is always close. And for a while there, Matt Campbell just couldn't beat Iowa. He lost like 7 in a row at one point. He's now won 2 of the last 3. But Iowa State has not won this game in Ames since 2011, that triple overtime game. However,
that's a good game. It's like 44-41, I think. Yeah.
Exactly, 44-41. Good call.
There you go.
And every time Iowa State wins this game, they've won by 3, 3, 3, 3, and 1. That in 2007 was 2. They haven't won this game by more than 3 points since 2005. 20 years.
And that would have been Dan McCarney, I believe.
Probably. I am going to go. I'm going to pick Iowa State to win the game, but I'm going to pick Iowa to cover. I think 3 points.
That's a tiny window, Chris. It's a tiny window.
Did you see the scores?
I heard. Yeah.
It's 3.5. If it was 2.5 or 3, it's a little bit different. But if you're giving Iowa 3.5, it's a lot there. So I'm going to say Iowa covers because that opens up the Iowa State win by 3 points thing. But Iowa State wins. This game's going to be physical, man. These two teams,
it always is,
the crap out of each other. Over under a 41.5.
Yep, that sounds about right.
So,
I wouldn't touch that number. That number's probably about right. But I think Iowa to get the job done.
I think I picked the under last year and it didn't hit. There was that period where every Iowa over under was like 30 points. All right, next game. Dear and close to the heart of one David Ubben. That would be Kansas at Missouri. 3:30 p.m. Eastern, ESPN 2. I'm kind of surprised it's relegated to the deuce. Missouri's a 6.5-point favorite. It's the first time they have played since 2011. David, you're the Mizzou alum. This is a real rivalry. This is not the border line, battle line, whatever the Missouri-Arkansas thing.
Stupid Missouri-Arkansas. I believe that's the battle line trophy, yes.
This is a real rivalry that dates back to the Civil War when these two, when they fought each other over slavery and stuff like that.
Yeah, literally. We won't get into the sides or who was on which side there.
Well, there was a quote. It was a quote from Bo Pribula this week, or Pribula. I always say his name wrong.
Yeah.
Which one is it? Is it Pribula?
It's Pribula.
Pribula.
Because I thought it was Pribula, like fibula, but I was corrected.
Yeah,
he wasn't
that's
playing.
exactly what I thought.
Pribula, yes.
He had a quote this week. He said, I thought it was just a sports rivalry, but I learned that it's not.
Yeah,
Very
it's not. It goes
David,
back. I mean,
David, tell us some history. Just tell us what this game means and what it means to have it back.
There's just so much anger in this rivalry. I compare Texas A&M and Texas Oklahoma. There's like a baseline respect in Texas Oklahoma where like there's not a lot of like you guys suck, you guys are a joke. There's not a lot of that. There is that in Texas A&M. I think the Kansas Missouri rivalry is very similar. One of the most famous stories from this rivalry, Norm Stewart, the longtime Missouri head coach, would refuse to stay in the state of Kansas. He would stay on the Missouri side of Kansas City and stay in their hotel so that all the money stayed in Missouri and then drive to the game and then come back. This is how deep-seated it is. And so, you got two coaches here that, weren't necessarily brought up in it, but the fans will let you know. And this one it's coming back. It's a little different because it's not in November. There's not conference stakes. I mean, that 07 game, that border war is still
unbelievable.
One of the biggest games in both teams' history, a classic game. The bad news here is, Chris, I think everyone's really underrating KU. I think KU might be like sniffing like 9-10 win territory. And Missouri, I think, is wanting to be that team that like isn't actually good, but wins like 8 or 9 games again. I think KU gets the job done here. I don't want to be, we've been barking on these dogs really early on, but it's because I like all of them. I think Missouri is still trying to find itself, and that's hard even at home and even with the environment that KU is going to be walking into. I think KU knows what it is, knows who it is, and obviously has a much more experienced quarterback, and I think is really underrated. And so give me KU here to not only cover but win outright as well.
I think both of these teams are kind of being underrated is the thing. Like I don't
know. I don't see. There's a lack of impact players on the Mizzou side of the ball that gives me pause.
They lost some guys to the NFL draft last year, the receivers, but Pribula looked good. He's the guy moving forward because Horn got hurt on his first play, and he's out. I don't know. Like I was really impressed with what Missouri did on defense as well. This game's at home as well. So you said you're taking Kansas outright?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to do the cop out of like always picking the underdog to cover but not win. But it's like because it's 6.5. Again, if it was like 7.5, then like
I know
I feel better about Kansas covering. I do. Kansas seems focused. I really like their defense coordinator, DK McDonald.
Yeah.
They beat a Fresno State team that then turned around and destroyed Georgia Southern. Jalen Daniels did take a lot of hits in that game, but he was very good when he played.
It's only week 2. He's good.
Are you going to be mad if I say Kansas covers but Missouri wins?
Probably yes.
I do like that we're basically on the opposite end of all this though. In terms of like our picks that we do on the Athletic, it's good when we're kind of on the opposite of all this.
We should get bonuses for picking dogs outright in our picks, by the way. I turned mine in earlier.
We should. That's a good point. That is a way that it should be done. What's the over under in this game? It is 51.5. It's kind of in the middle.
Right. That looks about right. I like that number. Yeah.
I'm going to say Missouri wins, but Kansas covers just because.
Okay.
All right.
Go all the way, Chris. Go all the way.
some of these point spreads are just like, it's that extra, it's the half point here and there. If Oklahoma was like, I think the Oklahoma line, by the way, came down. I feel like Oklahoma was 7 or something earlier, and it must have come down a bit. So that would mean people are feeling better about Michigan.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State at Oregon. Oregon is a 29.5 point favorite.
Mm-hmm.
This game is at 3:30 on CBS. We had some drama this week. Mike Gundy talking about the money that Oregon spends on players. He said, quote, "I think Oregon spent around $40 million last year alone. That was just 1 year. Now, I might be off with a few million, but what I'm saying is they're spending a lot of money." Dan Lanning, the Oregon coach, would later respond, "If you want to be a top 10 team in college football, you better be invested in winning. We spend to win. Some people save to have an excuse for why they don't." An excuse for why they don't. That's the end of that quote.
Bars.
So let's talk about that first. Lanning is right. Gundy saying this for what Oklahoma State is and became, thanks to the name on the stadium, T. Boone Pickens, and all the money he put in there to elevate the program successfully. I don't buy this from Gundy. I don't like it. This is the same Mike Gundy who said at media days he didn't think NIL was going to be a big deal. And so they didn't kind of take it seriously for a minute there. Oregon knew what they were doing. In many ways, Oklahoma State and the money was just doing what Oregon did with the Nike money back in the day, kind of in the mid 2000s, and what they were doing. Also, I don't think it's probably not quite 40 million. It might be this year because you have that weird
rev share.
You have the weird thing where everybody got the NIL deals in before the middle of the year when rev share started. So that's what basketball, especially, you have all those deals that don't count toward the rev share cap. So everybody front loaded a ton of stuff this year. So the salaries on teams are probably a lot higher this year than they will be moving forward.
Yeah.
But in general, even if Oregon spent $40 million on players, who cares? You're allowed to do that. That is what this is. And that doesn't mean the biggest spenders will win all the time, because guess what? That's what college football has always been. This era of college football right now has more parity than we've had in 15, 20 years.
Yes.
I mean, it used to just be Alabama and Georgia and Clemson over and over and over and over. Now we've got 4 different teams played in the last 2 national championships. Washington was in a championship game. It's what do you make of this whole thing?
It's broke talk. That's what it is. I mean, listen, there's still coaches that are head coaches in this sport. I won't run down the list, but you talk to them enough, you figure it out, that aren't comfortable getting as much money as possible for their roster. There's a wide variety of reasons. Well, guess what? Most of those coaches are not doing great right now. And I think Mike Gundy is one of those. If you're not a coach that's doing everything you can to get as much money as you can in the hands of your players and building your roster up, you're making a mistake. And Oklahoma State has been really slow to that. And guess what? Oklahoma State's roster is not very good. They made a couple nice little pickups in the offseason, but they just don't. I mean, especially when you compare this team to the really good Gundy teams, and even after some of those teams, they still had some really big time players. They just don't have a lot of those now. And so, they got House Haney hurt. I think this is going to be a game where
real quick. Let me say everything. House Haney, their starting quarterback, is injured. He got hurt in the first game. He's out for a bit.
He's out.
Or they're starting redshirt freshman Zane Flores, Oklahoma State.
Sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Of course. Why not? I think there's going to be a game where it's we figure out pretty early on, does Oklahoma State have a pulse or not? Because if they do, then this is going to be a 10, 12-point game, and it'll be sort of competitive. If they don't, or Oregon is just tearing through them, then I think they're going to win the game by 40. I think we'll know after about 6 drives how this is going to go, because Oklahoma State, a lot of people, myself included, sort of penciling them in at the very bottom of the Big 12. And a lot of it is around that talent and having a quarterback issue isn't great there. But I think there's still a world in which Oklahoma State is still a 6-win team that's got some fight in them. And I think we're going to find that out on Saturday against Oregon. So I would, I'm going to take Oregon here, because I just don't think they have that fight. But if it's, 13-10 at the end of the first quarter or whatever, like Oklahoma State's probably going to hang around and probably lose the game by, I don't know, 10 or 14 points.
Mike Gundy's comments make me feel like Dan Lanning will want to cover the spread and that they will pour it on in the second half. And then
we remind you of Dan Lanning's most famous speech, by the way?
Remember what he said around Colorado 2 years ago. And he invited the ESPN cameras to come in and record what he said. And I didn't know there were cameras. He knows what he's doing. He's a very smart coach.
They're playing for clicks. We're playing for wins, I believe.
Yeah, we're playing. They're playing for clicks as we bring the ESPN cameras in to record what we're about to say, which is totally smart and totally
fair. That speech got a lot of clicks, to be fair.
Yeah, and I could 100% see him doing that again in this game.
Yeah.
29.5 is so many points. You're talking like a 40-10 type of game.
If they can, they will. I agree with you.
If they can, they will. Does Oklahoma State have a pulse to fight in this game and keep it within 30 points?
We'll find out early. I don't think this is going to be a slow burn game at all.
You're picking Oregon to cover?
I'm going to go Oregon. I think Oregon will get the job done here. I think it's part because I'm so down on Oklahoma State and I'm really high on Oregon. Nobody's really talking about Oregon as a Big Ten championship contender, and I picked them to win the Big Ten. So I'm going with Oregon to get the job done here big. Probably something like 45-7, 45-10, something like that.
I'm picking Oregon to cover as well, literally only because I think Dan Lanning is going to want to. And I think his players are going to want to. He's that guy who will do that.
Lanning's a killer. I think you don't have to know much about their situation to know, like, he's not somebody you want to cross. So
he's a killer. He's a guy who signed a contract. That means he ain't leaving there for a long time. He is an incredibly school friend. It's like $20 million, I want to say, to buy him out of his contract at Oregon. Like, he loves it there. He's got everything he wants. And I think he wants to make another statement. I'm going to go Oregon. I don't love 29.5. But
it's a lot of points. But again, Chris, if they can, they will. I don't think it's going to be one of those things where, they're up 27 or something, at the start of the fourth, and then they just throw all the backups out there. If they can, they will.
All right. Ole Miss at Kentucky. Ole Miss a 9.5-point favorite. This game's at 3:30 Eastern on ABC. We remember that Kentucky beat Ole Miss last year. Austin Simmons, everything looked fine for Ole Miss, but it wasn't of any opponent to know. Again, team we don't really know a bunch about. Kentucky played Toledo pretty close. I think it was 24-12 might have been the final.
Yeah, I thought they might lose that game. They actually kind of impressed me in that game.
Don't love the defense. Don't love the offense. Do like the defense. What do you think about this?
Well, like I said, I was really down on Kentucky coming into the year. It was like, is it 2-10, 3-9 on the board here? It feels like it's gone a little sour since the A&M situation with Mark Stoops. But I think Ole Miss is not going to be taking as big of a step back as people think they are. 10 points, not that many points. I like Ole Miss to get the job done here big. I think they can score. And if anybody knows what the spread is and is going to cover that, it's Lane Kiffin. So I like them to win this game by 13-17, something like that. But give me the Rebs.
I think I'm going to do the thing again where I pick Ole Miss to win, but Kentucky to cover, because this game has been close the last couple of years. What was it?
Yeah.
Was it 2 years ago? Ole Miss only won because of some weird fumbles at the end or something like that. Like, Mark Stoops has coached very well against Ole Miss, and he beat them last year with the team that went 4-8. It was the only SEC win Kentucky had, and it knocked them out. It knocked Ole Miss out of the playoff. Now, does Ole Miss winning that game or losing that game last year mean that they're more focused coming in? Possibly.
I think it means that Deion Walker was on Kentucky's team last year and he's not on their team anymore. I think that's what that means. And if you have big old stopper in the middle of this offense and you can stop the run with four guys, that puts you ahead of the curve. I don't think Kentucky's able to do that anymore.
It's a lot of points on the road in the SEC, though. We also remember South Carolina last year, early in the year, destroyed Kentucky in a game that I think Kentucky was favored, if I don't recall, by a bit. So, this could be that, but new young quarterback on the road again type of situation. Going to say Kentucky covers. Not loving it, but I'm going to say Kentucky covers. Ole Miss wins. Maybe I'm being a coward by picking all these underdogs to cover but not win. But it's just how I feel.
Chance here. You got another chance here, Chris.
We had a lot of close games in college football last week. So next one, Baylor at SMU. I think the sneakily most underrated game of the whole weekend.
It's going to be really good game.
SMU a 2.5-point favorite, noon Eastern on the CW. Make sure you have the CW and know where it is.
It's right after Dawson's Creek.
You are going to want to watch this game. The over-under is 64.5. They are going to put up so many points in this game. I was at Baylor last week, saw them lose to Auburn. Yes, Auburn ran the ball all over them, but that was because Baylor was playing too high the whole time because they didn't want Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton to beat them. SMU doesn't have those same type of weapons at receiver. I do like their tight ends. I spent a little bit of time with Rhett Lashley last week. I went down to SMU, and his feelings on his team was like, I like our guys. We just don't know what will happen when they get in a adverse situation. How do they react? It's a new team. So a lot of the leaders off of last year's team are gone. Kevin Jennings is back. He's good, but you lose Elijah Roberts on the defensive line. And it's like, all right, what happens if Baylor comes down and boom, scores 2 quick touchdowns like they could? How will SMU respond, especially on defense? That's the question. So this game's going to be awesome, man. Like there's going to be this old Southwest Conference rivalry. They're 2 hours apart. This
Not even that, really.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm excited for this game. I think ultimately Baylor being undervalued because of the way that they played last week in a big spot. I think Auburn is much improved. SMU overvalued. They're a playoff team. I think people don't realize how much they lost. So I'm going again, another road dog to get the win here. I like Baylor to get the win. I think Baylor's more experienced. They kind of, again, know more about who they are. And that's a lot of this, coming into the early season. When you have a bunch of guys in new spots, that's tough. And I think Dave Aranda can do a lot to slow Kevin Jennings down, not let him beat them with his legs. So give me Baylor to make up for that week 1 loss at home, go on the road and get the job done.
I think I like Baylor as well. Because of the experience and the big game experience they had last week. I think Dave Aranda will have some stuff ready, but SMU is going to put up some points though. And
yeah, it's too obvious here. The SMU, I think the wrong team's favored here. I think SMU is being really, really overvalued and Baylor being really, really undervalued.
I think look, if Baylor finishes a couple of drives in the red zone and doesn't allow a kick return for a touchdown, it's a different game against Auburn last week. So I'm going to go Baylor as well. USF at Florida.
Is this a G5 game of the week, probably?
Yeah, I think so. Involving one, not at G5 versus G5. We got some better ones we're going to get to.
Just a game that's going to shape the G5 playoff race as much as just about any.
Florida's a 17.5-point favorite. The game's at, I think, 4:15 Eastern on SEC Network. USF coming off that destruction of Boise State. Florida coming off a decent enough win last week against a FCS team, I think it was. People didn't love what they necessarily saw from the Gators, but what do you think about this?
We're going to learn a lot about Florida in this game, I think. I think I'm in on Florida. I just want to see it. You know, how much of the way that they close the season is that the real Florida? And is DJ Lagway, who's been kind of banged up all offseason, is he going to make the leap? I think Florida can be in the mix for a playoff spot, but if they went 6-6, I can't say I'd be surprised. This is a tough one because these games, USF has kind of come up short in a lot of these games. They messed around with Bama, what is that, 2 years in a row or 2 out of the last 3 years? I forget.
Yeah.
I forget when the rain game happened. I guess it would have been year 1. But anyway, either way, ultimately, I think USF, I think they can contend in this. It feels like they're probably going to come up a little bit short. I could see this being tied at halftime and they lose by double digits. So I'm reluctantly going to take USF to cover in this game, knowing that there's a real chance it's like 21-0 Florida at the end of the first quarter. I think that's definitely on the board. So I'm going to take USF to cover, and I'm going to cross my fingers while doing it.
Florida beat Long Island 55-0 last week.
I don't care. I don't.
So that's what that was. Like, my feelings on USF are like, I have them ranked, I think, number 20. They're my top ranked group of 5 team. But that first half against Boise was all about Boise making mistakes. Like that, like bad turnovers, missing things. Like, USF figured it out in the second half, and that's why they pulled away. But there was a good chunk I wasn't like that impressed with USF relative to the final score. And so USF has stepped up in these situations, like you said, against Bama. So like they do kind of have that experience. But I think Florida just has more explosiveness than maybe we saw from Bama the last 2 years, even though that was, decent Alabama teams. I'm going to say Florida covers. I don't love it, but yeah, I'm going to say Florida big, just because I think we've seen Florida's been in these situations. They played UCF. Was it last year? What did Florida do in their bowl game last year? I think they
beat the heck out of Tulane.
They beat the heck out of Tulane. That's what it was. But Tulane was missing a bunch of guys. So
yeah.
I'm going to go Florida. I don't love it, but I'm not there with USF yet. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Arizona State at Mississippi State. Interesting. This is a rematch of last year's game. Arizona State, a 6.5-point favorite on the road. Game is at 7:30 on ESPN2. Mississippi State let Southern Miss hang around for a bit in the first half last week before pulling away in the second half. David, what do you think?
This game makes me nervous too, because I was kind of impressed with Mississippi State. They end up in Hattiesburg,
on the road
that we've talked a lot about. I thought there was a chance they might lose that game, but they were the better team. This is sort of like an Oklahoma State thing where I have questions about whether or not this Mississippi State team has a pulse. Are we going to see improvement in year 2 under Jeff Levy? I also think Arizona State way overvalued because they won the Big 12 and they were toe to toe with Texas. Like, they're a really good team, but they're really, really overvalued. I think by a lot of folks. So I'm torn here. I think I'm still just going to trust my eyes. I think as overvalued as Arizona State is, I'm still just not a believer that Mississippi State is not going to get pushed around in this game. So give me Arizona State going on the road, winning this game and covering. I think it's going to be tight, but I think Sam Leavitt going to make some plays. I will say, Chris, you've been tracking the cowbell piece of this story.
Yeah, so Arizona State has somebody at practice like with cowbells, but
that's
they're
a
like
generous term. They're
very small cowbells.
Yeah, it's like, listen, if you've never been to a game in Starkville, it's a problem. And, there's a lot of people who would grumble about the cowbells being grandfathered into the artificial noisemakers, but it is what it is. Let me just tell you, whoever went and got these party favor cowbells at Arizona State's practice, we got to have a little more attention to detail, because that is not going to prepare you. I'm a little concerned there, but I think Arizona State's just a better team here. They get the job done, win this game probably by like 10, 13, something like that.
After all that, you're picking Arizona State to cover?
I already picked Arizona State. I have questions about the cowbell situation, but I just think Mississippi State's just not very good still. I don't think they can make that big of an improvement. This is still, we're talking about one of the 3 to 4 best teams in the Big 12 against, one of the 2 to 3 worst teams in the SEC. So I'm taking the Sun Devils here.
So Arizona State did win this game last year, 30-23. Blake Shapen, the quarterback, did play in that game for Mississippi State. He got hurt later on in the season, and then Mississippi State's season went to hell. Shapen is playing. He played pretty well in that first game against Southern Miss. So this is a different Mississippi State team than we saw most of last year. Am I going to be in that? Am I again going to pick an underdog to cover but lose? I picked Arizona State to win the Big 12. Like, I am in on the Sun Devils a lot more than you are. I like Sam Leavitt on the road. 6.5 at an SEC school is a lot. It's a night game. Gonna go Arizona State wins, Mississippi State covers.
You're addicted, Chris.
So many underdogs. I'm addicted to underdogs covering and losing. It's just like, Look, these are like teams we don't totally know, and these are just situations that I like the underdog to keep it close.
Yeah,
it's not gonna. I don't know. I'm trying not to be scared. It's what I feel. I don't see Arizona State winning this game big. I think Mississippi State is going to keep it close, but not enough to the point where I feel scared about.
I'm less certain about that. We'll see.
All right, we got a couple other fun games to kind of just run through quickly.
There's a bunch of really I want to see that.
Illinois at Duke should be a lot of fun. Darian Mensah. Duke, by the way, had to pull away
an Elite Eight matchup. Is this what this is?
That could be, but remember last week, by the way, Duke had to pull away late. That was not a final score.
I was score bug watching that, and it was like they were like tied with Elon late, and I don't think they had the entire power of Tesla behind them on that. It was ugly matchup. I didn't watch it, so it's hard to say, but that's concerning to me. But I also think these FCS games, especially, but when you beat a team 55-0, I really don't care. And when you have big games kind of coming up and you struggle early, I also don't really care. And it just doesn't tell me that much about you. Sometimes you get burned by that. There's the whole believe the team. When a team shows you who they are, believe them. And so like Kansas State has me wondering a little bit more schematically than just on the scores. But this game, I'm excited for Duke, Illinois. I'm in on Illinois though, so I'm going to go with the Illini here. Brett Bielema, Luke Altmaier. I like this squad.
Illinois is a 3.5 point favorite. I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but you and I are doing picks on the Athletic.
On the Athletic, yeah.
And I need to find that Slack channel. Let me find what our records are. Okay, our records are through 2 weeks. We are both 7-9. I was 5-5 week 2. You were 6-4. I had a bad week 1. We both had a bad week 1.
Yeah, I was 1-5. Week 0 was 1-5.
We rebounded. Yes, week 0. So not all of the games we pick here are going to be picked on there, but that will be on the Athletic. I think it's going up Friday, where we are actually held accountable. So we're trying to keep track of the records. I think I like Illinois in this game as well to win and to cover. Vanderbilt at Virginia Tech, a rematch of last year when Vanderbilt kind of stunned everybody and won that game. At Virginia Tech this year, I believe it's a night game as well. And
yeah, it's nighttime in Blacksburg.
Yeah, 7:30 ACC network. Virginia Tech, a 1.5 point favorite. I don't know what to make of Virginia Tech, man, because I
don't either. There was a lot of good and a lot of bad in that game.
They gave that South Carolina game away.
Yeah.
And it's because they cannot do much consistently on offense. I really, this game could go either way. Anything stands out to you?
Virginia Tech needs Coach Ryan Knight to get after for this one.
David is Virginia Tech in our College Football 26 Dynasty with some other college football writers.
Yes, my coaches. I forgot that the coaches are not that customizable. So I was going to make a black Ryan Day, and I called him Ryan Knight, but he doesn't look anything like Ryan Day. So I just gave him he wears team color shorts and the tie. It's a great look for him. He is black, and his name is Ryan Knight. Anyway.
You're allowed to do that. I'm not.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what to feel about this game. I wonder about Vandy. Where they're not sneaking up on anybody. Like Vandy kind of has a little bit of a target on their back. I sense around the SEC and certainly Virginia Tech that like people are kind of annoyed at like a Vandy that's puffing its chest out a little bit. And if maybe some of the personnel shortcomings catch up to them this year, I think they can win this game. But I think Virginia Tech's better than they showed last week. I think at home and in Blacksburg is tough. So I'm gonna go with the Hokies to get the job done there.
Going to go with Virginia Tech as well. Boston College at Michigan State. This is NBC, 7:30 at night. Michigan State, a 4.5 point favorite. That is kind of a lot. That was a game.
Are we getting an Aiden Childs breakthrough here, Chris?
He looked like solid last week. I think the biggest thing for Michigan State was the offensive line looked much better than last year. They were able to run the ball a bit. Boston College beat up on some FCS team. I forgot. Fordham 66-10.
Yeah, I don't care.
Four and a half is a lot. Michigan State was up 23-0 on Western Michigan until a pick six from the backup quarterback in like the final minute actually made Western Michigan cover. I'm going to go Michigan State in this one. I don't know about covering in the 4.5. I think I would have Boston College cover, but this is a big, like if you're Michigan State and you want to get to a bowl game in Jonathan Smith year 2, which you have to, this is one of those like 50-50 games you need to win. It's at home. They had the game last year. They kind of let it slip away in the second half because Aiden Childs threw a lot of interceptions. So he needs to cut down on that, which he has. I'm going to say Michigan State.
The Michigan State started to look a little bit more like Oregon State. I thought,
yes,
where you're getting downhill a little bit more, and I liked what I saw from them. But I think I'm kind of in on BC on this one. I'll go BC to. Are they laying the points there? I'll take BC to cover.
Yeah. Getting 4.5. Arkansas State at Arkansas at 5:00 Eastern on ESPN Plus and SEC Network Plus. I'm putting this here because this is the first time these schools have ever played each other.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Frank Broyles, Dave, you're the native Arkansan, but my understanding is Frank Broyles, the old coach AD, never wanted to play anybody else in Arkansas because he wanted all the attention of the state to go to the Razorbacks. Is that right?
Yeah, I think for a lot of the boosters and stuff, it felt like there's no upside. Like if you win, it's like, well, duh. And if you lose, it's like an apocalyptic event, basically. So, they've sort of finally broken this down. There was never a lot of momentum for like, let's keep the money in state. There was never any of that really talk going. Arkansas's got a weird, like, I think not that many people realize that Arkansas still plays home games in Little Rock. Like during here, it's like, I feel like there's nobody else that does that. It's a very weird thing. And it's all tied back to money and boosters, and college football is a complicated sport. But I think Arkansas can be a little improved here. I think this is a game, obviously, Sam Pittman knows it means a lot. He's already not the boosters' best friends right here. I'm going to go Arkansas to take care of business there. And it was 23.5, I believe is the line. I'm going to go with the Hogs to take care of business in this one. It's in Little Rock, by the way.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's the other thing. It's not in Fayetteville. It's at War Memorial Stadium. So this is one of those like for the state type of things. I remember a number of years ago.
One of the worst stadiums you'll ever go to, by the way. It is not
Arkansas. Arkansas is not allowed to bring recruits to this game because it's not on campus. That was a big thing. I remember under Bielema was upset about that. But
probably for the best.
A number of years ago, I was talking with Terry Mahajer, now the AD at UCF, then the AD at Arkansas State, who was publicly trying to get Arkansas to play a game with them. And he was saying, like, look, you're probably going to beat us. That's fine. We will help fill up your stadium because our fans will come. That was at a time, I think, when Arkansas was kind of having some attendance issues. And his argument was like, we'll help sell out your stadium. And if you lose, it's not the end of the world. We, Arkansas State, lost to Central Arkansas. Like, it happens. Now, that's obviously he was coming from the Arkansas State side of things, but they did eventually schedule that game. And here it is. So I like these things. Like, I like these in-state games, and every once in a while you get the upset, and it's amazing. Oakland basketball beat Michigan one year. Central Michigan has beaten Michigan State a couple times in football, and like, I like the idea of these in-state rivalries. Just every once in a while, play them. It's fun for everybody. It means a lot. So I'm glad they're doing this.
I am too. It needs to happen. I mean, it's just more intriguing than going and playing like, Arkansas always used to play, one of the directional Louisianas. And it's like, that's not interesting. Like, for better or worse, this game is interesting. And this goes back to, we were talking about with why we love college football. I see this as entertainment, my favorite TV show. Guess what? It's a lot more intriguing when there's a lot more stakes in a game where there's a 23-point line when you have Arkansas State there than if you lose to, whoever, Louisiana. So,
yeah. West Virginia at Ohio. This is an interesting game because, again, it's at Ohio, at a MAC school, 4:00 ESPNU. West Virginia, a 3.5-point favorite. Athens, Ohio, very close to the West Virginia border. I've been there. I had to go, I had to cross state lines out of Ohio and into Ohio to get to Athens from my trip. So, regional type of thing going on here, even if not direct ties. Ohio played Rutgers very, very close.
Yeah, they did.
3.5-point favorite. West Virginia on the road. I kind of like Ohio in this one.
I felt bad last week because I was tracking that game and I couldn't remember who Ohio hired. And I was like, who is their coach? And then I felt better because he has the most nondescript name in college football and they just promoted from within. Brian Smith, which is like...
But he kept a lot of the players there who didn't follow Tim Albin to Charlotte, including Parker Navarro.
I watched Charlotte. It's
Timothy Chalamet's favorite, Parker Navarro.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous here because I don't know so that I trust West Virginia. I'm going to go West Virginia reluctantly in this game, but I have if Parker Navarro sets Rich Rod's defense on fire, I can't say that I'd be shocked. So yeah, I'm going to go West Virginia and not feel very good about it at all.
Houston at Rice. This is the last time I believe these teams are scheduled to play. Houston's a 13.5-point favorite. Is at Rice. This is the Bayou Bucket game, 7:00 ESPN Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Rice coming off of the stunning upset of Louisiana last week
on the road.
So this will be an interesting game. Keep an eye on Rice. I'd like Rice to maybe cover in this game as well. But
yes,
this is a game I wish these teams would keep playing. I don't like that they're not. Houston has moved up to the Big 12, and so they're not. Houston, I believe it's Houston, didn't want to play the game anymore. These teams are like a couple of miles apart. They're both in the city of Houston. Like, you don't have to do it every year, but play these games, people. Like, it's good for the city. It's just, Houston, Rice got the upset a couple of years ago, but it was like the first time in like a decade or so that had happened. When you're going to have games on the schedule that are Long Island or something like that, I'd rather you play some in-state G5 or FCS. Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yeah. I don't trust Houston as a 2-touchdown favorite against kind of a spicy Rice team that, we've been talking about them all season. Scott Abel, I think he can scheme some stuff up. So Rice loses but covers. To take a page from Chris.
Western Kentucky at Toledo. This is
the actual G5 game of the week.
Might be the G5 game of the week. Expect a lot of points. Two very good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Was a good game last year. Toledo's 7.5-point favorite at home. I don't know. I think I like Western Kentucky in this game. They've looked pretty good in 2 games.
I'm going to take another page from Chris and go Western Kentucky to cover but not win.
But Toledo played well against Kentucky, so maybe you shouldn't. Yeah. But we'll see. UConn at Syracuse, the old Big East basketball rivalry, is back. Not much to say other than just I'm glad this game is happening again. Like these teams should be playing each other. The spread, Syracuse is a 6.5-point favorite at home. Should be a good game. I think UConn continues to be very improved under Jim Mora. This also might be the G5 game of the week. Texas State at UTSA. This has become a very good rivalry. Texas State won the game last year. G.J. Kinney played for Jeff Traylor back in the day as a high school player. So many connections here. These schools are very close. They're not in the same conference, but this is one of those. Keep playing this. I don't know if they tried to make a name. They tried to put like HEB on this game, the sponsor or something like that. I don't remember if it exactly has a name.
Can't be naming everything after blue bonnets in Texas. We got to stop. By the way, the UConn Syracuse game, can we get Paul Pasqualoni out there flipping the coin at halftime? Can we do that?
That's a good call. I wonder what I-35 rivalry is what they call UTSA Texas State. What is Paul Pasqualoni doing right
Just
now?
Getting after it, probably.
He was coaching
getting up there, man.
The Lions recently. He was most recently the linebackers coach with the Memphis Showboats in 2024. So it doesn't appear that he is in coaching. Last one here. Army at Kansas State.
Oh, boy.
Kind of one of those like loser could get into panic mode.
Yeah, look out.
Kansas State.
I got a lot of questions about K-State. They needed a minor miracle to come back and win that game last week. And, man, not good. Not good. K-State, listen, there's a world in which K-State snaps out of this. And that world is, okay, we were still kind of hungover from the Ireland thing, and we're done trying to turn Avery Johnson into a pocket passer. But the vibes on this season in Manhattan have gotten shaky in a hurry, where it's like, are we going to go 5-7, with a second-year quarterback that we ushered Will Howard out to go win a national championship for this guy. So I think you gotta let Avery loose as a runner here. But this is a real. I'd be nervous if I was K-State here.
Kansas State, a 17.5-point favorite. Army is coming off a loss to FCS Tarleton State. They have a new quarterback and new situation there as well. Kansas State needs to win this game. They need to win it comfortably. So with that, we're going to close the show the way we always do, and that is by remembering some guys.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Now I'm going to start with, believe it or not, a former Heisman Trophy winner. Don't normally have those on here, but I'm going to Oklahoma, and I was trying to think, like, who do I think of when I think of an Oklahoma quarterback? And it's when I kind of got into college football in the early 2000s. I'm going to go Jason White.
Okay.
Heisman Trophy winner of 2003. Got to be the most nondescript Heisman winner of the 20th
Yeah, I've
century,
talked to him a
right?
couple times. I mean, before, during, and since. I've talked to him a couple times. He just has like a little farm somewhere out in Oklahoma and like keeps to himself and doesn't come to games very often and kind of just chills and lives his life with no working knees. So shout out to Jason White.
Yeah, guy. I mean, again, won the Heisman Trophy, was like up there as well, I think, in 2004 again, because that was year Oklahoma played in back-to-back national championship games. They lost both. They lost 0-3 to who was that? Who did they lose that one to? LSU, and then they lose the next year to USC in the blowout.
USC. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man, he was putting up big numbers at a time when not many people were doing that. It was like Texas Tech was doing it, but you didn't like take it seriously because it was like when BJ Simmons was doing it, but you didn't really like, but when Oklahoma was doing it and Jason White was doing it, you were like, whoa, who is this guy? So, Jason White, Heisman Trophy winner, but we still remember you.
We're also going to go with the quarterback on my guy remembering, Chris, because everybody remembers Megatron, but the real ones remember Reggie Ball. A very fast, very small quarterback who
Georgia Tech.
Listen, he tried his hardest to play quarterback. Very fun guy, like a good guy on the video game. 5'11", guy that didn't have much of an NFL career to speak of, but he'll always say he threw to Megatron and was just a fun guy to watch. So Reggie Ball, we salute you.
He was ACC Rookie of the Year. He started as a true freshman, played all 4 years as a starter. I remember jersey number 1 was what he wore.
How many years, Chris, did he have more touchdowns than interceptions, if you had to guess?
Oh, I have it up in front of me, so I know. The answer,
the answer is 1.
The answer is 1. Is his senior year. He finished 57 touchdowns.
Georgia Tech, man. Yeah.
But I mean, if you add his rushing touchdowns, it was more.
Yeah.
He never had more interceptions than touchdowns if you include his rushing touchdowns, to be fair.
Yeah.
But
I just love Reggie Ball. As a diminutive person myself, I'm a member of the short community and the sweating community. And Reggie, get after it, buddy.
And we have a submission from listener Josh Mustachio, and that is former Iowa wide receiver Tim Dwight. He had the Big Ten punt return yardage record before Ted Ginn broke it. He was a first-team All-American, finished 7th at Heisman voting in the late 90s. One of those small, quick white guys who we kind of got a lot of, later on, Wes Welker and stuff like that. But he did that at Iowa as a 4th-round pick in 1998. Just if you were a Big Ten guy back at that time, again, he was just a little. He was a track star, just firing all over the place. He was a boatload of fun to watch. Tim Dwight, Reggie Ball. I'm sorry, Tim Dwight, Jason White, Reggie Ball. We remember you.
Yes, absolutely.
Please give your submissions to remember some guys to bunchformationpod@gmail.com. We've got quite a few in the bank from people who have emailed in, so we will
some good suggestions in there.
We've got a list growing. So that'll do it. Oh, I guess we didn't talk about work. I thought I put it on, but I didn't. Oh no, we skipped it. I'm sorry. Totally forgot this. North Carolina at Charlotte. Dave, you're going.
Yeah.
Is this just going to be a North Carolina blowout and they're going to be fine? You were at the Charlotte game too, and they were bad.
Probably. Charlotte's not very good. App State's not very good, and Charlotte got kind of rocked in that game.
Yes.
So we'll see. I want to see when North Carolina has the better roster. What do you want to look like? How do you want this to go? I bet we're going to see that 6 offensive lineman set a little bit more. TCU shut that down pretty quick. But can you block a little bit better? Do we see Gio? Like, I left the game Monday night wondering if we'd see Gio Lopez again the rest of the season because Max Johnson was so much better. But we'll see. I'm intrigued.
Jordan Hudson, by the way, is the same age as Max Johnson. They are both 24 years old. Just wanted to put that in your head that Bill Belichick's quarterback is the same age as his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And with that, for real this time, that is going to do it for this episode. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
We're doing some traveling, but it's like kind of local traveling for us. There will not be a Bunch Formation After Dark live show on Saturday because we are both at night games. So we're not going to be around. We're going to be driving home afterward. So the next time you will hear us will be Monday with our week 2 reaction episode. We're going to have a lot to go over. I'm fired up about this week.
Yeah.
No, we don't need your top 10 matchups and record 20 million viewers on a game. Regional rivalries are back on the menu, boys. We got a really
Big Eight's
fun
back. Southwest Conference is back. We love it.
We got a fun episode, a fun weekend of college football coming up. And so for David Ubben, I'm Chris Vannini. We will talk to you on Monday.
And bring back the turnover chain, please. Please.